new viewers each week.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to talk about the Money in the Bank predictions. We're also going to just push Smackdown into the news and notes section. So we're going to basically go through Smackdown, what occurred, and then we'll get right into the Money in the Bank predictions. So, the Street Profits defeated Pretty Deadly. Match was good. They did a elevated suplex. Pretty Deadly did, with one on the other's shoulders. It was a great spot. And then, very stupidly, one of the members of Pretty Deadly, the one with the black hair, had to roll in position so that Angelo Dawkins could do a swanton bomb onto him. That took me completely out of the match. But other than that, I liked it. The Street Profits won. Where is this going? Don't know. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae were defeated by Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. So this is a rematch from Clash at the Castle. Jade and Bianca basically said they wanted their tag team championships back. Another rematch from the Clash at the Castle, Bayley and Piper Niven. Bayley defeated Piper Niven. Of course, all the Money in the Bank girls were fighting around them during the match, which led to Nia Jax coming out, trying to get her hands on Bayley. And then she was chased away by Mia Yim with a kendo stick. Another thing, I saw that Dave Meltzer gave Mia Yim versus Jada Parker 4.5 stars, I think, which is insane for a women's match on NXT. Sounds psychotic, but it really happened. And DIY defeated A-Town Down Under to win the tag team championships. I'm disgusted by this, but it seemed to be the natural end of the story. Earlier in the evening, Austin Theory was questioning his relationship with Grayson Waller, but Grayson Waller said, look, listening to Johnny Gargano never got you anywhere. All of your championships, your Money in the Bank, you beating John Cena, that all happened because you were thinking for yourself and doing everything for yourself. And so I was like, man, brother is spitting. He's making a good point. And he was making a good point. They ended up losing. They did the old FTR spot again where all 4 guys are in the ring and both Theory and Waller tapped out at the same time. It was pathetic. But DIY being the tag team champions, oh my God. It is what it is. Look, I just wish it could have happened sooner so that Austin Theory could have something to do as a singles act. I guess this whole thing is over. Probably not officially. It'll probably, rematch and a couple of other things. But A-Town Down Under as being the tag team champions didn't last very long. And to be quite honest, it didn't seem like Triple H had any interest in pushing them or trying to make them interesting. It just seems like he gave them the belts as, like Post-it notes. Here, you guys are the champions for now until I get my other guys over. And he still failed to get them over, but at the very least, it was a favorable crowd because it's Toronto. It's a smart city. They were putting over earlier in the night how Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were over in Toronto and how they did all these things in Toronto. So it was a favorable crowd. As soon as they go to Waxahachie, Kansas or whatever, they're going to get crickets again. So whatever. Let's get into Money in the Bank. Let's talk about this show because I'm actually looking at the card and it's kind of soft. It's only 5 matches. They have announced that Trish Stratus is going to be the host of this show. I don't know what that means to be the host because when Sexy Red was the host, she did 3 segments and that was it. Does this mean that Trish Stratus, because they're in Toronto, she's only going to do 3 segments? I believe they did tease Charlotte that she might return. I don't see how that really helps this show, but Trish Stratus will be there. That works out great for WWE. I'm glad she gets another gig, but how is she going to be integrated into the show? We don't know. All right. First match 1, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens versus The Bloodline. All right, they did a promo on Smackdown where Kevin Owens talked about his mom being sick and in the hospital, but he is at work anyway because that's what his mom would want. And, I thought that was interesting. Cody Rhodes said that they're ready to fight, and Randy Orton said that they're ready to fight, and then the Bloodline did their thing at the very end of the show, where Solo Sikoa talked about the Ulafala and how it makes him the tribal chief, and that this is not what he wanted, but it's what the family needs, because Roman wasn't man enough to defend their honor and their championship at WrestleMania. He wasn't man enough to stop Cody Rhodes, so he's going to have to. And if Tribal Chief Roman Reigns has a problem, he's going to have to come and take it up with him. So it was a direct challenge to Roman, a direct dare for Roman to do anything. But Roman's not going to appear at this show. It only makes sense that Solo Sikoa is going to win this match. He has to win this match, and he has to pin Cody. And that's going to go into the SummerSlam match. Now, they say it's going to be 3 members of the Bloodline, and it doesn't say which 3, but I'm pretty much guessing it's going to be Solo, Tama, and Tonga. And because Jacob Fatu might not be able to get into Canada. I don't think he might not be able to get in. It ought to be a pretty good match, though. They're still teasing Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, with Randy looking at the championship all, lovingly and everything, but it's going to be a while. All right, match 2, Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn apparently did some kind of comedy show before SmackDown. I heard that it was successful. Some of the Canadians that cover wrestling talked about it. I guess it was some kind of benefit charity show that he did. I don't know if Sami Zayn is the kind of guy I would watch do a one-man show, or if that's what it was or whatever. But in this match, if we're being honest, Braun Breaker should just win and win the title and walk away with it and then just go on a run. Sami Zayn is another post-it note champion. That he's a champion in name only. He's really only feuded with one person since he won the title. He hasn't had a variety of opponents. This might be one of those bullshit Triple H situations. He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. It might be one of those gimmicks. But he needs to just go ahead and give the belt to Braun Breaker now. And then let Braun, build up some momentum. But something tells me that Triple H is not going to give it to Braun Breaker. And instead, he's probably going to have Sami Zayn win. Partially because they're in Canada and they're in Toronto, which is close to somewhere close to, it's closer to Montreal than they probably going to be next week. So I could see Sami Zayn winning, and them having Sami Zayn win in a way that protects Braun Breaker. So it's like some kind of out wrestle them, roll up, small package, some kind of gimmick like that. Maybe somebody else distracts Braun Breaker and he loses. I could see them doing that. But to be quite honest, I would just have Braun smash Sami Zayn and go forward as an Intercontinental Champion. But I'm going to go with Sami Zayn winning because I think Triple H loves this guy, and that is what it is. Okie dokie. All right. Damian Priest, Seth freaking Rollins. Last chance match for the World Heavyweight Championship. If Priest wins, Rollins can never challenge for the title again as long as Priest is champion. If Rollins wins, Priest must leave Judgment Day. On Monday, I was pretty certain that Priest was going to lose, and they were going to go with Rollins Gunther at SummerSlam. I have not changed my mind. It seems like this Judgment Day breakup is taking forever. It's been 2 years in the making. They literally started teasing this thing during the World Heavyweight Championship thing last year. And they were teasing it even before that, when Finn Balor was challenging for the title 100 times. It just doesn't seem like this Judgment thing is going to go much further. So I'm guessing somebody from Judgment Day is going to try to help. They're going to end up screwing it up. Damian Priest is going to lose. Rollins is going to win. Priest is going to be out of Judgment Day. And this is going to lead to probably Damian Priest versus Dominic Mysterio or something crazy like that at SummerSlam. I'm fine with that. I know that Triple H is a match guy, and Seth Rollins is his guy, and he will more than likely view things to say Gunther versus Rollins is the better match, and he's going to go with that. And plus, Damian Priest, you talk about post-it note champions, he's one of the biggest ones in the company. Like, somebody have to write it down and remind you who Damian Priest is and that he's the world champion, for God's sake. You know, it's just unfortunate that he's booked this way, but it is what it is. In fact, it might be better off if he lost. You know? So I'm going to go with Seth Rollins. Money in the Bank, women's match. Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark. Oh boy. So, let's do subtraction. Io Sky is not likely to win. She won last year. They're doing a breakup story with her and Damage Control. They may do a gimmick where Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane crash the ring and try to do something, and which will lead to more spots as Piper Niven gets involved, and maybe they'll even have Nia Jax come to the ringside because she's friends with Tiffany Stratton. So they're going to have some measure of elimination there. Zoe Stark shouldn't even be on this show. She got no chance of winning. Naomi has a pretty good chance of winning. I think a lot of people is waiting for Naomi to break through. There's some belief that perhaps there's a heel turn on the way, that Naomi versus Bayley as a championship match could lead to Naomi turning heel, which I could see, honestly. Naomi hasn't been a heel in WWE in a while, but I think she has such goodwill as a babyface. I probably wouldn't go there with that. Lyra Valkyria, I think, has a better chance than most people think, due to the fact that she's pretty much been launched out of a cannon since she came on the roster. They haven't beaten her that much, and she has looked very impressive, even though she's bland as all hell. So she shouldn't win, but I would give her a pretty good chance of winning. The favorites, as far as I'm concerned, is CHA-CHING Chelsea, which is what she said about herself on Smackdown. I actually like that. CHA-CHING Chelsea sounds fun. And Tiffany Stratton I think those are the two best options as far as women Money in the Bank winner. Clearly the best option is Tiffany Stratton, to go with the younger talent and get her over as quickly as possible. But I think when you look at somebody who might benefit more, I think Chelsea Green might be the person who benefits more with the briefcase in terms of interacting with it, in terms of being annoying and obnoxious with it. I think Chelsea Green is a really good option. And if you wanted to have an unsuccessful cash-in, Chelsea Green is the person you could do that with. Tiffany Stratton would be in a similar situation to Austin Theory if she won it. It would be maybe too soon for Triple H and the way he likes to do things. But as far as I'm concerned, she's ready right now. You know what I'm saying? But knowing Triple H, he's going to want to go with the more experienced talent that's been around for a while. So he's more than likely going to go with Chelsea Green. If, he doesn't go with Io or Lyra Valkyria. I think that the idea that it could be Io is always floating out there because of how much Triple H loves her. But I think he won't do that. So I think the real options are either Chelsea, Lyra, or Tiffany. So I'm going to go with Chelsea Green. I would pick Chelsea Green. I would also pick Tiffany Stratton. There's also a pretty good chance it's Naomi as well. You got to think about it, because one of the things that you have to think about when it comes to Money in the Bank is also that they like to gimmick it. And you could have the pink Money in the Bank briefcase for Chelsea Green or Tiffany Stratton. That could both be fun. Chelsea's already got a little nickname for herself. That could be fun that you could put on t-shirts and different things like that you might be able to market. Naomi, maybe glow in the dark briefcases and stuff like that. Like, I know WWE, the Vince era, loved having those kinds of gimmicks. And, the Triple H era, they're going all in on the yeet stuff. But for the most part, they haven't tried to really work with like the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring stuff or anything like that. So maybe they're not going to think about action figures and toys and all those kinds of gimmicks. But I would imagine they still want to make some money, for God's sakes. So I'm going to go with Chelsea Green, knowing that it probably won't be, and that Triple H likely doesn't really appreciate her as much as he should. All right, main event, men Money in the Bank. Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, Drew McIntyre. All right, so let's go through and subtract some people. Carmelo Hayes, you can forget it. It's not likely. When you look at the amount of talent in this match, Carmelo Hayes is a guy for the future, but he hasn't really been focused on, and he hasn't been winning. He will be a great Money in the Bank winner, but Triple H and young talent is not looking great right now. Like, if I were booking, we have a clean sweep on the young talent. Brian Breaker would win, Tiffany Stratton would win, and maybe Carmelo would win this. But knowing Triple H and how he absolutely butchered Austin Theory, I don't think that Carmelo Hayes is going to have much of a chance, so I don't see it. Chad Gable, you got all the Wyatt Six stuff. I don't see it. Maybe they'll carry him off or whatever. Who knows? Maybe they'll continue with this Alpha Academy stuff that's taken forever to break up. But I don't think so. LA Knight, you got the Logan Paul story. So Logan Paul is likely going to slide in the ring, probably punch him with brass knuckles or something like that. Similarly, you have Drew McIntyre, who has the CM Punk issue. A lot of people think that McIntyre is going to win and then Punk is going to fuck him out of the championship match. And I think that's terrible and that's a waste of Money in the Bank. Let McIntyre, if he's going to, get close and then Punk pulls him off the ladder and hits him with something like a chair or something like that. So I think Drew should get close, but he shouldn't win. Jey Uso, I don't think you go there. Look, he's selling merchandise. The people likes him. He's a good contender for the title. The issue it would be, again, if he's a credible challenger. Has he gotten people to believe that he's a main event guy? To a degree, he's main evented several pay-per-views at this point. He even main event WrestleMania in a tag team match. I'm not sure if people see Jey Uso as world champion yet. It would be great for his character, and it would complete, his character arc for him to become Mr. Money in the Bank and become the world champion. And it would say a lot, because the reasons he hasn't been able to win the world title has been because of Jimmy, but Jimmy hasn't been around. So without Jimmy being around, can Jey finally do it? So that's a really good question that they could answer here. But I don't think they're going to go that far. Andrade, the odds are really, really long against Andrade. Nobody seems to think that he has a chance of winning. I looked at the odds and it's like plus 1,400. It's nonsense. Nobody's betting on this guy. And it's likely due to the fact that he hasn't been featured. But it's because he hasn't been featured that I think that he has the highest chance of winning. Because this is what they did with Damian Priest. This is what they did with other people, where they basically hid them and then out of nowhere they get pushed. It seems like, in terms of how Triple H is doing things, he doesn't keep people in the spotlight while he's pushing them. It seems that once they started getting a push, they start disappearing. Like Bayley is barely on television, and some of the other people are barely visible on the show, and these are people that are being pushed. So Andrade, maybe. I think it's a long shot, though. If I were booking, it will more than likely be Andrade, because I think he has the most upside as a main event guy outside of Jey Uso, and Jey Uso is already established as a top level star in terms of merchandise and tickets and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not sure if you want to go Seth Rollins or whatever and Jey Uso for the title. You know, I don't know how you would finagle that so that Jey could get the belt. You know, I think it's a little bit easier with Andrade to get the belt, or at least get in contendership for the belt. McIntyre would probably be the most obvious choice, but I think that they have to write him off. You got to have Punk interfere and take him out in order to strengthen that storyline and not ruin the briefcase. Chad Gable is a good contender for the Money in the Bank if that's what you want to do, but they've already started his angle with the Wyatts, and that's gonna go somewhere. So that leaves basically just Carmelo and Andrade as two guys who are unencumbered by storylines, but neither one of them are on TV enough, so they're barely over. So I guess that leaves Jey Uso as the favorite, and he's the poster boy of the show so far. And I know that don't mean much of anything, but I would be interested if it was Jey Uso to win the Money in the Bank, and how it would interact with the Bloodline story, specifically with, you know, Roman's impending return, Jimmy's impending return, and Jey running around with the briefcase. You know, maybe they do something slick and, you know, fantasy book Solo winning the title and then Jey cashes in on Solo. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? That'd be a little too crazy for my taste. So I'm gonna stick with Andrade as the guy who's gonna win the Money in the Bank. And I fully expect them to put Charlotte with him. And, you know, because that's something that they've wanted for a long time. They wanted to work together. Charlotte hasn't been on television. Like I said, they teased that Charlotte's going to be there. I think if you put Charlotte with Andrade, even if she's just in his corner, it elevates him quite a bit. She could talk for him, and he immediately becomes more important on the show, you know, until Charlotte can wrestle. And I think that would be a great usage of her, and it would really help him. And it was something that they wanted to do the last time he was there. They wanted to work together and do stuff, and Vince wouldn't let them do it. But it seems like Triple H is more pliable. So I could see, you know, Andrade winning Money in the Bank, and then Charlotte becomes like his valet until she can wrestle. And that would be a great pairing. So I'm going to go with Andrade El Idolo to win Money in the Bank, even though I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure I'm going to be wrong. So let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to talk to you guys later. Peace out.